All right, we're all set. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. The highest in me bows to the highest in you. So I'd like us to start with some Jin Shin Jyutsu, which some of you are aware of. And we'll do the most basic version, which is just um, holding our fingers. So take any hand and hold the thumb of the other hand. Just wrap your fingers around it. And I'm holding it up just to show you, but you can have it done. You wrap your fingers around it. And I just want you to breathe a few times while you hold your thumb. And bring your awareness to what you're feeling as you hold your thumb. And let's move on to the index finger, that same hand. Wrap your other fingers around it. And again, breathe here. So we're coming into the present moment with sensation and breath. We're feeling the breath, we're feeling the sensation. And whenever your mind wanders, just come back to the feeling you have on your finger, feeling you have on your hand, and your breathing. We are consciously shifting away from thoughts into the world of sensation, feeling. Let's come to the middle finger. And again, wrap your other fingers around it. And something automatically gets balanced, integrated as you hold your fingers like this. I like to imagine that I'm putting my fingers in a sleeping bag, quite cozy, just enjoying breathing. And let's come to the ring finger. There's nothing much to do. Just hold the finger, breathe, be with the feeling of holding the finger. Enjoy breathing. Enjoy being alive, present. Come to the pinky finger, the little finger. Wrap your finger around it. And again, we're going to breathe here a few times. This is not a very exciting practice, nothing much happening, but it creates a sense of serenity, contentment, brings you into presence. If you pay careful attention, there's a lot going on. There's the pulsing sensation of your heartbeat as you hold each finger. There's the temperature of the breath. Just touch the middle of your palm. You can either touch it or if you prefer, kind of gently massaging it, whatever feels good. Just touch it or you can massage it. Do that for a bit. What we're learning is to shift from the speed of thought to the speed of life, moving at the speed of life. And this practice of Jin Shin Jyutsu can definitely help us. Connecting to each finger. Each finger actually represents something. We'll go into that later. Heal something. Come to the other hand, the thumb of the other hand. Wrap your fingers around it. Just enjoy the simple act of holding your finger. When you were a baby, one of your favorite activities was sucking your thumb, quite likely. But a lot of joy out of just sucking your thumb. Why can't we get joy out of just holding our thumb and breathing? Adjust your breath so it's really nourishing. If you want to breathe a little deeper, a little slower. Come to the index finger of the other hand. So we're learning to move at the speed of life instead of the speed of thought. And we're training ourselves to enjoy simple pleasures. Simple pleasures. The simple pleasure of holding your finger and breathing. Can you feel the pulsating sensation in your finger, your own heartbeat? Come to the middle finger. Feel what's happening as you hold your middle finger. Feel the sensations. Enjoy your breath. Something is gently, yet definitely getting balanced as you do this. Come to your ring finger. Just hold it. Not too tight, not too loose. Just enjoy it. Come to the pinky finger, the little finger. and hold it and breathe. And consciously shift from thoughts to feelings, speed of thought to speed of life. Now you can touch the middle of your palm, or if you want to fold your thumb, or if you want to massage, whatever feels good. Go with that. And now please take 1 minute to do anything that feels good. If you want to stretch your fingers, you want to massage, do some acupressure, just go ahead and do whatever feels good for 1 minute. Just massage your hands in different ways, whatever feels good. You don't have to know any reflexology or acupressure. Just do it. Just do what feels good. If any part of your hand hurts a bit, maybe spend a little bit more time there. Sometimes some parts of our hands hurt more than others as you do this. And do it for both your hands. Check if there's any pain in any part of your hand. I remember once I was living in a forest in Thailand, and I found a book on hand reflexology. So I spent 15 minutes on each hand, 15 minutes on the left hand, 15 minutes on the right hand. Then I sat to meditate. I had the most beautiful meditation. I thought, wow, this is so cool. I just sat and my whole body felt so open, so relaxed. And I really thought, okay, there's something here, just massaging my hands. Felt like a mini yoga session. All right, so thank you for joining. Today we have also a live audience on YouTube who's joined us. And so we're giving them a taste of some of the things we do in our spontaneous practice. And of course, it's never quite clear what we do because these are these are unplanned sessions. Um, so I'd like us to just be quiet for a bit, be present, and let's see what else is coming for today. When you were a child, you might have played with a toy called a kaleidoscope. In a kaleidoscope, it's a very simple toy. There are three mirrors that are placed in a triangular fashion, like a long kind of tube with three mirrors placed in triangular fashion. And in that, there are a few little plastic, little trinkets of different colors and shapes. And the unique thing that happens when you look through that is the simple little plastic pieces come together in amazing variety, amazing shapes. Creates a remarkable pattern reflected across those three mirrors. So it's just a few things, but in combination, it leads to, I mean, I imagine there are pretty much infinite different patterns that can emerge in a kaleidoscope. I don't even think there's a limit to it. How many different shapes, how many different patterns can emerge? Now look at it slightly differently. Here is a kaleidoscope with five pieces and a reflective piece. So what are the five pieces? We have seeing, we have hearing, smelling, tasting, touch. And if you want to add the mind, which is actually just it is kind of mixing up those five and reimagining them, kind of replacing them, reimagining them. So you could even add the mind if you like. So let's say there are six then. And there is that which is knowing all of this. And that is like the mirror-like surface, which is consciousness. Now, just with that, we have the whole variety of life, infinite variety of life, infinite things to see, combined with infinite things to hear, taste, smell, touch, and think about. It's actually possible for the same thing to endlessly intrigue and delight you your whole life. There are people who enjoy gardening their entire lives, and they never get bored of gardening. There's so much more to learn. There's so much more to discover. You can be gardening your whole life and be very content. There are people who enjoy cooking their whole life. There is so much in the world of cooking. There's so much in the world of preparing food. Of course, some people believe in not cooking, raw food, whatever. But the whole dimension of food, food preparation, food presentation, even growing food, there's a whole rich world over there. You can spend your whole life there very happily. Similarly, with recently we had a retreat and it was in a pottery village. So this was one of India's first pottery studios. So the world of pottery, it's basically clay, wet. It's like clay is kind of wet, and you're molding it and infinite shapes, infinite creativity. I think the website, one of the websites is Delhi Blue Pottery or something like that. And you go and just see that over the years, the kind of creativity people have come up with. Delhi Blue Pottery or Pottery. So that's one of their brands. And it's just incredible, the kind of creativity. So that's the whole world, the whole world in the world of clay. And these are just a few examples. You know, people play golf, people enjoy watching cricket or playing cricket. And you see how the simplest thing has infinite variety to it, infinite diversity to it, infinite depth to it. And one thing, any genuine person who's truly a lover of whatever it is, no matter when you meet them, they will say, you know, I feel I'm just getting started. I feel I'm just getting started. They'll never say that, oh, I know everything now. That's usually not what they'll say. They'll say, I'm just getting started. Only recently I've really discovered what this is about. So much hidden depth in any field of endeavor. So we can go through our life in at least two ways. Of course, there are many ways, but two ways. One is mile wide, inch deep, and one is inch wide, mile deep. So what does it mean? Mile wide, inch deep. So this is where you have many, many, many experiences. Your joy comes from novelty of experiences. New food, new country, new people, new activities, new job, new clothes, new conversations. Basically newness. And if you take you to the same restaurant a second time, you're like, why are we going second time? I've already been there. Been there, done that. Been there, done that. So such a person gets their juice in life through diversity. They want to experience new things, novel things. And they don't go that deep into anything, but they want to experience many, many things. This is one way of going through life. And by the way, I'm not saying that one is right and one is wrong. So let's just be very clear. I feel, especially when we are young, it's very helpful to be wide. You get too narrow too early, you don't get a full appreciation of context, where whatever you are doing, how it fits into the larger whole. So it's understandable that young people are quite confused that, I have so many interests, I have so many passions, I have so many things I'm intrigued by. I don't even know what to do. And it's fine. That is the phase of life to try many, many things. And then there's the other one, which is inch wide, mile deep. So the question to ask yourself is, what is it that I can be endlessly fascinated by, curious about, happy to explore, learn, practice, share for the rest of my life? What is that activity or a set of activities? This is a very beautiful question. I think there's even a name for this question. Let me just find it. I think it's called Dan Sullivan question. I can give you the exact question. So I think I'll find it later. But yeah, there's a question called the Dan Sullivan question. What is the single focus and activity? What is the single focus and activity that would keep me absolutely fascinated and motivated for the rest of my life? What is the single focus and activity that would keep me absolutely fascinated and motivated for the rest of my life? This is pointing us in the direction of inch wide, mile deep. Inch wide, mile deep. So in my case, this inch wide, mile deep is the question, what is happiness? What is happiness? And it's not about finding a quick answer or the perfect answer. It's about leaning in. It's like, so what is happiness now? What is happiness now? Can you see how this is what makes it a living question? What is happiness now? The happiness now can be breathing. Happiness now can be going slow. Happiness now can be enjoying being present. Happiness now can be trusting the process ever more deeply. Happiness now can be shifting from thinking to feeling to inner silence. And just like gardening, cooking, golf, or any activity can be endlessly fascinating, motivating. You can learn so many aspects, so many things about it for the rest of your life. Similarly, like this question that I've taken up, what is happiness? This is an endlessly fascinating exploration. There are people who come to me and say, Nitya, I've tried and I don't know what my single focus is, or I don't know what my purpose is. And I've really thought about it. I really don't know what it is. To me, it's clear as daylight. It's clear as daylight. Well, then your purpose is finding your purpose. Or you phrase it in a different way. Don't say, what's the purpose of my life? Say, what's my purpose now? What's my purpose now? So my purpose now is to be as open, as present, as tuned in, as aligned, and just allow whatever wants to flow. That's my purpose now. So someone who says, I don't know my purpose, I've been struggling, I get confused, I keep changing my mind. No, there's nothing wrong. It's just that you made a mistake by thinking it has to be a thing, or it has to be a paragraph, or it has to be a sentence. It has to be something you can explain to someone that'll look good in your resume. What if it's as simple as, what's my purpose now? What's my purpose here? And that becomes an endlessly fascinating, motivating thing. I watched this TV show, I think a year or two back. I think my parents were watching it actually. And there was a scene where this police officer, lady police officer, she's a detective. She's interviewing a woman whose house has just been robbed. She brings the woman is, of course, scared and shaken. She brings the woman into her car and she's interviewing her there. And once the interview is over, this lady who's being interviewed, she notices a little quote, a little sticker on the dashboard of this police officer's car. And it says, send me, I'm here. Send me. She's like, what does it mean? Send me, I'm here. What does that even mean? So the police officer smiles and says, well, I believe that I believe in God, and I believe God doesn't act independently, God acts through us. So when there is someone who's praying or someone who's needing help, then God will act through one of us. So my little message to God is send me. I'm here. Send me. I'm here. What a beautiful purpose. Send me. I'm reminded of my friend Neha. She lives in Pune. And Neha wrote to me and said that one night she was hearing a puppy crying, a little puppy. Could hear a little dog, little puppy crying. It kept crying and crying. So eventually she got out of bed late at night. She got out of bed. She put on something. She goes out looking for who's this puppy crying. And the neighbor in the neighborhood, neighboring plot, there's some construction happening. And this little puppy had hurt itself. This puppy is crying and crying. And chances are many people can hear it. There are houses everywhere. But she's the one in the middle of the night, got up, went out, found the puppy, consoled the puppy, did whatever she could to help it, calm it down. That's an example of send me, I'm here. Send me. May I be a channel of blessings. That's a beautiful purpose. So the way of looking at this is there is a tremendous perfection. There is a tremendous perfection wherever you find yourself in life. So right now, which place are you in? Which city are you in? Which town are you in? Which village are you in? Which hamlet are you in? Which family are you in? Which job or career or business are you in? Or maybe there's no job or career or business. Well, I'm going to say that the tremendous perfection. There are people, even if you put them in jail, they make jail a happy place. And there are people, you put them anywhere in the world, they make that place feel like jail. Some people, when they enter a room, we smile. Some people, when they leave the room, we smile. What kind of person are we? We recently had a retreat. I was mentioning in this little village, and the person who owns the retreat center, who set up that retreat center, he had spent some time in jail. He was telling us a story. He spent some time in jail. But he was poor and he was what's up my video stuck. He was poor and he to make ends meet, he was selling drugs, whatever, in the US. And he told us his experiences of how even in prison, there were such uh, there were such deep conversations, and he joined this every every religion has its own representative. So he was fortunate that the Native Americans, the 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 indigenous people of the US, they had their own representative. Those of them in prison, they had their own representative. So he was allowed to, even though he's not, I mean, born in that religion, he was allowed to join them, and they gave him some kind of role. So he would set up these sweat lodges, and they would do their chanting, they would do their sweat lodges, they would do their Native American practices, indigenous practices. And for a few years, that's what he was doing. He was so happy, he was so blissful. He was happy in jail. He was happy in prison. He had to spend a few years in prison. And he was joking that, I was put in prison for selling marijuana. And now half the states in the US, it's legal to sell marijuana. Like what? So that was an example of someone who found beauty and peace and meaning even in prison. So I'm actually just going to say it, whether you believe it or not, understand it or not, like it or not, that you're in the right place. You're in the right place. You're not an inch in front, not an inch behind, not an inch to the left, inch to the right, inch above, inch below. You're in the perfect place. So maybe your question is, how come? How come this is such a perfect place? It doesn't look like such a perfect place. It doesn't feel like such a perfect place. How come it's so perfect? The perfection. And what is asked of me? What is required of me here, if anything? There's another beautiful saying. How you do anything says a lot about how you do everything. How you do anything says a lot about how you do everything. Some of you know this. You'll enter someone's house, one look at their house, and you learned a lot about them. We had a teacher uh, in Thailand, Ajahn Mahabua, very famous Thai monk. Ajahn Mahabua lived to, I think, close to 100 or maybe over 100. And he had once visited our monastery. And of course, he's a very famous monk, so we had done a lot of preparation, cleaned the monastery and everything. But he's very smart. Huh? He doesn't fall for all of that. Unexpectedly, he went behind the altar. So, Buddhist monasteries, we'll have a main hall where there'll be a big Buddha statue. And there's typically some area behind the Buddha statue kept open. So he went to look behind the Buddha statue. He was like, what are they doing? And then later that evening, he gave a talk and he said, every time I visit a monastery, I look for three things. I look at three things. I look at what's happening behind the Buddha statue. I look at the state of the toilets. And I look at the state of the walking meditation paths. Because in Buddhist monasteries, we don't just sit and meditate, we walk and meditate. We spend almost an equal amount of time walking, meditating, not just sitting, meditating. So he says, I know the standard of a monastery by these three things. If the area behind the Buddha statue is neat and organized, just like the area in front of it, thumbs up. If the toilets are clean, hygienic and clean, doesn't have to be fancy, but hygienic, clean, thumbs up. And if the walking meditation paths are clean and they've been used, in other words, how do you know they've been used? They're slightly, what do you say, uh, concave. People are walking on them a lot, become slightly concave. So this is a good practice monastery. So he said, Wat Nana Chat is a good practice monastery. How you do anything says a lot about how you do everything. Like the same kaleidoscope thing. It's those same pieces that are creating all the patterns. I heard about this man who was the founder of a big company. And he had a curious habit. He wouldn't interview people in his office. He would say, let's go for a drive. And he'd make them drive. And they talk while driving. And he had figured out in half an hour of watching someone's driving, he would understand if he wanted to hire them or not. The guy thought he's being interviewed. He didn't realize his driving was being noticed. And he had said, I can figure everything out about a guy, about a person, in a few minutes of watching them drive. I learn everything I need to. How you do anything says a lot about how you do everything. I remember when I was just beginning on the spiritual path, then one part of me, of course, was very enthusiastic, inspired, grateful. But another part of me felt guilty and ashamed. I thought, oh, there's some things in me I don't like. There's some things in me don't accept. There's something that yeah, I'm ashamed of. So when I would meet a teacher who I considered to be quite wise or quite awakened or whatever, then a part of me would be a little afraid that, what if they see that in me? What if they, what if they have that power to see all of me, not just what I'm presenting, but even the stuff I'm not presenting? So this was a hesitation in me that, and I'm sure some of you may have experienced something like this, that, what if, what if the person knows like that? But it was later when the meditation or whatever you want to call it deepened, then I realized that this siddhi, that the power of that this actually is a siddhi, it's a power to see the person fully. This power is only given to a person who has embraced their own darkness. You cannot get this power otherwise. To the extent you have embraced your own darkness, your own shadows, your light and your shadows, your heights and your depths, your divinity and your humanity, to the extent you've integrated that, accepted that, owned that, to that extent, you will have that kind of ability to see somebody else's. And so there was no need to actually be afraid, because even if they did see it, they would only have compassion. They would not have judgment. Someone who judges such things is not given access to such things. These are beautiful insights. So then one can relax and say, yeah, all right. I, I have my light and I have my shadow. And there's that nice, how guru is spelled, right? You know the meaning of guru? G-U-R-U. You are you. G-U-R-U. That's how you are. This life has these two dimensions. One is the dimension of what is appearing, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. But there's another ocean, there's another dimension, which not everyone is familiar with. Some people don't even know it exists. And that's the dimension of being. that which knows. You can say, there is the seeing and there is the seer. The seen, the seeing, the seer. The heard, the hearing, the hearer. The tasted, the tasting, the taster. So that is something which is usually neglected because that's hidden. The other things are quite clear, right? So I like to eat dragon fruit. Oh, dragon fruit. I like dragon fruit as well. Which one do you like, white or red? And there's the discussion. And then, okay, so that's a thing in dragon fruit. And how do you like to have it? Oh, I like to have it cold. Interesting. But who's tasting? Who's saying all of this? Who's the taster? That's hidden. And because it's hidden, we don't even know how to begin to approach that. So the point of wisdom teachings, the point of spirituality in its essence, is turning the arrow of attention back to its source. And of course, there are many practices. There's meditation, there's bhakti, there's chanting, there's serving. There are many practices, but don't get confused by the practices. The intent of the practices is the same. Like when you serve others selflessly, then the main question there is not on who you're serving or whether you're feeding them food or giving them clothes or helping them get an education. That's not the main point. The main point is who's doing it. Normally you say, I'm doing it. But in seva or in karma yoga, there's a sense of it's being done. It's being done. It's happening through me, not by me, through me. And so instead of feeling you're doing them a favor, there's a real sense they're doing you a favor. They are doing you a favor. Right now, all of you are doing me a favor by showing up for this session. I don't feel I'm doing you a favor. I feel you are doing me a favor. Or even more deeply, everything is supporting everything. Life supports itself. Can you see how that's a dimension of life that is very rarely talked about in normal society? Or even if it is, it's quite confusing. And one thing we're very trained in our normal life is, but what's the value? What's the utility? What will this help me with? What is it for? Because we live in the dimension of, I'll do something to get something. I'll do something, I'll get something. Subject, object. And yet, the most meaningful moments of our life are when it's just done for the doing. Playing with your kids just to play with your kids. Not that, oh, I'm going to have a better relationship with them. They will love me and take care of me in my old age. Then you're not playing with your kids, then you have an agenda. Just play with your kids. When playing with your kids, just play with your kids. Making food for the family, you know. Oh, while making food, I'll also take photographs and populate my Instagram page. I mean, just make food for the family, Just enjoy food together. Doesn't have to go on Instagram. Every meal doesn't have to go on Instagram. So the best moments are just doing for the sake of doing, not what will I get from this. In fact, that thought, what can I get from this? What will it, that takes you out of the flow. That's what gets you out of the flow. So recently, someone approached me and said, one of India's big banks, I'll not name it, but one of India's big banks is looking for a mindfulness course. And so they gave this template, you have to write down what you'll teach, which meditations you'll teach, what are the benefits of those meditations, what's the scientific evidence. And I right away knew I didn't want to do this session for this bank. They have already rejected 3 senior meditation teachers. Will you please apply? I said, I'm not going to apply because they've got the beginning only is wrong. It's wrong in the beginning. This is not the way you approach it. Tell us the benefits. This is everything is utilitarian. Now meditation also you're going to make utilitarian. How much are you going to make utilitarian? Your life is going to become so shallow if you make everything utilitarian. Even something beautiful like being with yourself becomes utilitarian. The other teacher taught me in 30 minutes. Can you teach me to meditate in 8 minutes? In 4 minutes? In 1 minute? Can I get the same benefits I get from 1 hour in 5 minutes? This is utilitarian. Yeah, sure. The meal that you eat in half an hour, I'm sure you can eat it in 5 minutes also. But what is the value of that meal? Yes, you stuffed your mouth. I remember one of my sessions, one man said, this he was a head of a plant of a company. He said, Nitya, I can really resonate with what you're saying. A few months back, we had an important consignment to send. We had packed everything, the boxes were ready. They were loaded in the truck, and the truck driver was missing. We're looking, where the truck driver, where the truck driver? We can't find the truck driver. He's not picking up his phone, getting very agitated. Finally, he comes, and we shout at him, where have you been? This consignment has to go. What if it gets late? And this was a slightly elder, elder gentleman. He must have been in his late 50s or early 60s. Sikh gentleman, truck driver. And he said, Sir, my duty is 16 hours. In these 16 hours, I have one designated lunch break. In that lunch break, I switch off my phone and I just enjoy my meal. If I cannot even enjoy a half an hour lunch break in my 16-hour shift, then tell me what is the point of this shift? And he felt embarrassed. He felt embarrassed. We are so rushing. Okay, got to get this done, got to get this done. We lose our humanity sometimes. We lose our humanity sometimes. I was giving a program in a cement company, and it was a beautiful program, but there was a sadness that came in the evening when we found out that there are so many trucks that bring all these materials. So the truck driver had an assistant. They're usually boys, probably didn't go to school or whatever. So there was a boy. And it was a hot day. So they have to wait. The trucks are waiting in line and everything. One by one, trucks are going. It was a hot truck was there. He got out of the truck and he slept under the shade of the truck. And the truck driver didn't realize. When he moved the truck, the boy was crushed. He died. And I was thinking, this is a multi-billion-dollar cement company. No one didn't occur to anyone to create a little shelter for the truck driver. There are, hundreds of trucks that come here every day. Never occurred to anyone, let's make a little shelter for the truck, the people to rest a bit in the shade, little water. So there was a tinge of sadness there that, we've gotten so caught up in our so-called progress, attaining. So I'm not trying to criticize the cement company. I'm trying to say that look where we do this. In rushing to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, we lose what's most valuable, most precious. We lose our humanity. We lose the most precious thing, presence, connection. So the reason spiritual teachings are harder to appreciate is because they don't give you that sense of do this and you'll get that. Although some people even nowadays, it's law of attraction is very popular, or certain forms of chanting. You chant and you ask for things and you get it. So there's kind of a middle thing that okay, you do this, not only will you enjoy presence, you'll also get what you want. These are very magnetic or attractive teachings. But be a little careful of such teachings because now you have even made your spirituality into a way of getting. I did this chanting and I got a new job. I did this chanting and my daughter got married. I did this law of attraction tactic and I doubled my income. All right, great. I mean, good for you. Very happy. But can you see what you missed? You got something, but what did you miss? You missed nothingness. You missed emptying your pockets. You missed losing yourself. You missed the actual treasure. You came back with, like, how does one even describe it? You found a cave full of treasure and you collected bottle caps and came out. That's how I would say it. You collected bottle caps and came out. You missed the actual treasure. So I would recommend when you approach anything that you enjoy, appreciate, then do it for the sake of doing it. Not what can I get from this? Do it for the sake of doing it. And that is inch wide, mile deep. Then you'll find it's endlessly renewing, endlessly fulfilling, endlessly satisfying, endlessly meaningful, endlessly nourishing, endlessly intriguing. Keeps opening up new and new chapters, new and new aspects, new and new dimensions for you. So let's mature in our journey from life is happening to me, I'm a victim. Life is happening to me, I'm a victim. Life is happening by me, I'm a creator. I'm powerful, I'm a creator. I can achieve things, I can do things. Life is happening by me. Life is happening through me, I'm a channel. Life is happening through me. May my gifts, my skills, my abilities, my essence, my energy be used for the benefit of all, the beautification of all, the liberation of all, the sanctification of all, the purification of all. Life is happening through me. Life is happening as me. As me. I'm only actually, right now, this is so funny, right? I'm actually just talking to myself. Yeah, I can imagine all of you are there and everything. But that's an imagination. Actually, I'm sitting in a room talking to myself. And half of the session, my eyes were closed in any case. So I have no clue if my internet was on or off. Maybe my computer ran out of charge. Happily talking to myself. असल में हम सब कुछ ना असल में अपने लिए ही करते हैं. You think you're doing it for others? Just doing it for yourself. You understand that deeply, then you stop worrying about what do people say. Doesn't matter. People like it, don't like it. So life is happening as me. The way I treat others is the way I treat myself. And then beyond that, you could just say it just is. Not even this and that. It just is. It just is. It. Would anyone like to say something before we end? You can unmute yourself. Go ahead, Sohan.
Yes, you shared your experience of what if the teacher see my dark shadow. So I really got this because throughout my life I am afraid of judgments by others. I always see that people shouldn't judge me. But then today I came to know that those who are judging me have actually not embraced their own dark sides. And this is so liberating.
Yeah, we are only judging in others what we haven't integrated and embraced in ourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Sohan.
you for this insight.
Anyone else before we end today? Yeah, go ahead, Pinky.
When you said the last line, the way we treat others, we treat ourselves. For me, suddenly it flashed that actually the way I treat myself, that's the way I'm treating others. So if I am, because I'm so angry with myself, so the anger arises on others. I don't
Mm,
see it, but that's how, because I'm not compassionate with myself, so I lose when the anger arises, I lose that compassion with others. So yeah, because I judge myself so much, so it reflects in my behavior. So yeah, this was another take for me.
yeah, so we can start by being 2% kinder to ourselves. Mm,
Yeah.
start where we are. And Dee is saying something. Go ahead, Dee.
Hi, Nitya. Thank you for the session. Jacqueline Road for half a mile. For me, the one thing that stood out was when you said that some people can be in prison and yet make it, you know, make it happy, a happy place for themselves and for others. Whilst there might be people who, who are in a seemingly perfect, life and enjoying a good life, and yet they can make it so unhappy. And I think that really struck a chord with me. That really resonated. That how much responsibility are we taking for creating our own happiness, and rather than pointing out at others or situations or people that are imperfect, and then kind of looking for flaws. And it suddenly just reminded me of this quote by this former US president, where he said that ask not what the country can do for you, but what can you do for the country. So I feel that that level of responsibility and ownership is, at least for myself, I feel like sometimes, one tends to get into this sense of entitlement that, oh, I demand this, I want this, I expect this. And so for that reason, I think it was a beautiful session. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Dee. Beautiful. All right, we'll pause for 10 seconds before we end. Are you saying something, Sonali? Or are you just saying you were done?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
No,
go
no, sorry. Yeah,
ahead.
I'm out actually. So I had one question, Nitya. You
Yeah.
mentioned about that banking story you just told about, that this is what, they required of you, and uh, you said no. I am just wondering, this is just the way things happen when you
Yeah,
step out.
that's true.
That's how life works. So what do you do in those situations? I mean, I I'm just wondering, because that's the way, if you go to a corporate world, anything you go out for work. That's how they operate. They would want to know the benefits of what you are doing. Unless you give them that,
Actually,
they
that's
will
not.
never.
I actually they don't want that. I'll tell you what they want. They want to feel that they can trust you. That's what they really want. And so
Yeah.
in my years of working, I've worked with corporates for many years now. And
Hmm.
when when I walk in, okay, so what are you going to do? What are your offerings? What are the benefits? They always start with that. And I turn
Hmm.
the question back on them. So why did you call me? Why did you call me? What's going on? What are the pain
Hmm.
points? And I just spend all the time listening to them. I just spend all the time making sure I've understood them.
Hmm.
You're talking about the Mac dying, so the battery. I just in time I plugged it. So anyway, so I spend all my time listening to them. My focus there is not on selling my services, not
Hmm.
on telling them that I'm the best person for them. I spend all my time listening to them, making sure I understand them. And I reflect back to them. So this is what's going on. These are the pain points. These are the challenges you have. And this is what you're trying to accomplish with your people. Have I understood you?
Hmm.
And when they
Hmm.
feel satisfied, I said, all right, I can do this. I have the knowledge, the expertise, the interest, the enthusiasm to do this for you. And then I recommend to them it'll be a half-day session, 1-day session, 2-day session, 5-day session, whatever. And then they say,
Hmm.
okay, but what will you do? And I said, that you have to leave to me. That you have to leave to me. But what will you do? But give us the outline. Give us. I said, no, I don't give outlines. I don't give presentation. And until now, I have not, maybe rarely once or twice I may have, but usually I never give outlines. I never give presentations. I said, now if you want me to do it, you have to trust me. Someone told you about me. You've contacted me. So take it off your head. Now let me do what I do best. You do what you do best. I'll do what I do best. So I don't get into that trap. I have never gotten into the trap all these years. So I don't believe it's true. I believe if you play that game, then that game is endless, right? And I just refuse to play that game. That game of I have to prove to you that I have something valuable to offer. I just refuse to play that game. So in this case of this bank, they were not even willing to meet me until I sent them such a proposal. I said, "मुझे तो मिलना ही नहीं है." I'm not going to sell you my stuff. You have to be willing to meet me first. And then in that conversation, if it's meant to be, it'll be. And if not, it's not going to be. So that's why I said no, because that's not my style is not to send you a big long proposal telling you why what I do is so amazing. That's not my style. And it may be somebody else's style, which is totally fine. It's just not mine.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
They're not looking for, we think people want facts and evidence and all that. No, they just want to feel that I can trust you. You'll do a good job with this. And I'll not get into trouble. Basically, I'll not get into trouble for calling you on. Then I can say, no, we did due diligence and we found this person they looked very good. They're trying to protect themselves, actually. That's what it is. Most people operate from fear, you have to understand. People don't necessarily operate from this thing. But when you show up with enthusiasm, you show up with confidence, you show up with compassion and a real belief that what you have to offer can really add value, then of course they pick up on that. People pick up vibes. Your vibe attracts your tribe, they say, right? So you focus on you keep your vibe high. You let everything else take care of itself. And there's that lovely saying SW, 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 SW. Some will, some
Yeah.
won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. So for all of us here on today's call, in the Zoom session as well as on YouTube, some will, some won't. Whatever you have to offer in this world, some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. There is someone in the world for whom exactly what you have to offer, how you have to offer, the way you have to offer it, it's the most perfect thing. And you will see their eyes will glow. Benjamin Zander, one of my teachers, he has a very simple definition of life purpose. He says, my life purpose is to be surrounded with people with shiny eyes. Shiny. What a great description. So whatever you do, whether you're a chef or you're a school teacher or you teach golf or you're a business person or whatever, don't you want to be surrounded with people with shiny eyes? What are shiny eyes? They're alive. They're alive. They're filled with energy, with life. They're enthusiastic. They're in tune. They're in touch. So that's a great way of looking at it. Live your life in a way that you're surrounded by people with shiny eyes. What gives you shiny eyes? Forget about people. What gives you shine? Focus on your shiny eyes. And the rest of the shiny eyes will take care of themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonali. Let's pause for 10 seconds. Why don't you join me today in making a Mayurma, which is a symbol of infinite love. Take your hands up and slowly bring them down. Make a big heart in the air. And then make an infinity symbol 3 times. 1. Second is bigger. And third is huge. And say with me, Mayurma, which means unconditional, infinite love for all beings. So good. Thank you for joining. I enjoyed being with all of you today. And we'll meet again soon.